Welcome to the Gearbox Podcast with Jimmy Purdy. We're bringing together industry leaders and those in the daily grind. Whether you're a tech looking to level up or a shop owner navigating the business, or just here for some real talk about the automotive world, we're finding the common ground in entrepreneurship and picking up some valuable tips along the way. So buckle up, let's shift into gear. Before we get started, I want to let you know the Gearbox Podcast is powered by the Repair Shops of Tomorrow. It's our exclusive coaching partner. If you're looking to boost profitability, grow your arrow, and streamline operations, our SOT has the tools and expertise to get you there. Shift your shop into the future with the Repair Shops of Tomorrow. That's missing, right? Like you probably talked to a lot of shop owners, and they're usually technician turned shop owners, and it's like, what do I do? And everyone wants to go to like the top of the the mountain, right? Like, just give me the silver bullet, right? They don't realize like it's like little crumbs that you got to pick up. That's one thing I've learned. Like, right. So it's like really interesting to hear other, I don't know if I call them coaching like techniques, but you know what I mean? Like just the different stuff that you've been through. And then obviously the power of like a BDG group, because that's all new to me too. And I recently just joined a BNI, right? That has nothing to do with auto.
Nothing to do with automotive.
Yeah. And I get there and they're like, and if it's like everyone's hounding me, right? They're like, oh, you gotta be a member. You gotta be a member. I'm like, I don't really need any more work, necessarily, but they're like, oh, but you need to join because my kid's car and this car and this, and it's like everyone's got this work they want to send me. I'm like, holy crap, like you guys don't have like another auto, like no, we don't have it. And once you're the auto guy, like you can't have another, same industry. And it's like, that's pretty interesting. But it's just funny, like how the auto industry is like always like the bottom rung, right? Like they're even showing like all the industries that they promote on like the slide, and it was like, where's the transportation or auto industry? Like, you guys just don't even think about that, didn't you all? And they're like, what's the number one thing, or what business could you use to really network with? I'm like, did you drive here today? Like, what? I'm like, every one of you that got here today, I can network with and get work out of. Like, I'm not looking for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like literally. I mean, when you start to talk about, and again, we can, I know we're recording now, but we can talk about, even some of that. I mean, you've got, the automotive industry is projected to be over $500 billion this year. It's the second largest producer for the United States economy is the automotive industry, right? And so, I mean, it's second behind hospitality. So people don't think about it like that. And I think shop owners, a lot of times when I give presentations, I always lead with kind of like industry statistics, average age of the vehicle, things like that. But then we talk about how much dollars are generated. And the reason I do that is because it's like you're a part of something very big and very important. And too many times in our industry, right, people are just, oh, well, I'm just a technician, it's, nobody respects what we do. And it's because of the perceptions there, because that's how you think of yourself. You have to change how you think of yourself as the shop owner.
Yeah, that's fair, right?
To change the perception. So, yeah.
It's easy too, because everyone wants, especially, I mean, the friends and the family are like the biggest offenders, right?
Yeah.
Can you look at it for free? Can you check it out real quick? And then I think, I don't know, everyone has a lot of empathy, but I feel like we have more empathy than maybe other industries, because most of the time, I mean, there's the exceptions, but like you get out of school and you need a car to drive and it breaks down and you have like, just enough money for a half a tank of gas, and you're like, I can't take this to a shop. So you're on the side of the road and you're like, all right, I got to figure out what's wrong with this thing, right? And that's how my journey started, and I feel like that like is resonates with so many other people. Like, well, that's what I did too. I couldn't afford to fix my own car, so I had to figure out how to fix it myself, so then you have that empathy when someone comes in and they try to haggle you, or they're like really down on their luck, and you can't help but feel like, all right, like, I'll help you out. And then that breeds that stigma of like, my time isn't worth anything. And it's like, right back to you said, like, then you just put down on yourself and you don't realize how powerful or how much knowledge that you have, and that's worth money. And the people that don't want to spend it, I just had someone this last week come in, and we do our basic inspection and we do an advanced assessment, and he felt like the time that we quoted him out for the advanced assessment wasn't fair. Well, it ended up being an oil leak. So we had an oil leak. We had to, our protocol is to rack it up, clean it, go drive it, rack it up again, and check for oil leaks. It takes time, and so it was an hour of advanced assessment, and you felt like, oh, that's something that should have took no more than 20 minutes tops. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, all you got to do is wipe it down, then you go drive it, come back. I'm like, I mean, it's 15 minutes to clean it, 15 to 20 minutes to drive it, another 15 minutes to rack it back up, and then he's got to let it back down and pull it out in the parking lot, write up his notes. That's another 15 minutes. Like, how is this not justified? Oh, you charge me for the test drive? Like, what?
Yeah, I mean,
Like, where out of nowhere? Like, what? How am I dealing with this guy right now?
yeah, yeah. I mean, every time spent, I mean, every minute spent, is like you said, it's time, it's your knowledge, it's no different than, if you have an electrician come, you're building a new house, and you have an electrician. Like, do you think you're just paying for the time that she is physically there wiring your house? Like, no, absolutely not. Like, all the time put into putting the specs together, right? Doing the research. I mean, you're getting billed for all of that. But yeah. So anyway, that's a that's a
you go
discussion that we
you
could
go down the
have
whole rabbit.
for.
Like, I mean, you've probably
Yeah.
seen the video about the plumber, right? Where he breaks down his like labor costs for his
Uh,
plumbing, and it was like
yeah.
500 or something dollars an hour that he's got to charge to put a water heater in. And it's like, if you ever put a water heater in, it's definitely nowhere near putting a transmission in a vehicle, right? Like, and not to downplay the technical ability to put a water heater in, but it's not the same thing, right? And it's like, I mean, I'll definitely pay out of convenience, but it's like the last one I had put in, it was like $2,700 to put a water heater in. It's like, I might do that myself next time because I'm definitely more than capable of doing that. Then you
Right.
break down the labor. It's like, well, so it was basically $1,500 for around 3 hours of work. So yeah, it was about $500 an hour. It's like, wow, okay, that's what it. I mean, and I get it though. Like, I'm not like knocking it by any means. It's like that's what he's got to charge. They show up at the shop, they load up their van with tools, they got to have all the same insurance and all that stuff and show up. And I mean, I get it. Like, that's what you got to charge, but it's not, it's not looked down upon as same as like in the auto industry, right? It's like we charge 170, then we want upper labor rate to say 180, and all of a sudden everyone loses their mind over $10 an hour, right? Like, how many conversations have you had like that where you're trying to get an owner to up their labor rate $5 or $10 an hour, and how
Yeah.
big of a change that would make?
Yeah. Well, I had one today, actually. Yeah. 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, whatever it was. So,
Daily
um,
occurrence, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
how big of an impact can that make for someone to just bump their labor rate? And how do you get them to justify that in their mind?
So, a lot of times when we're talking about labor rates, I mean, I had the conversation today with a prospect, and then I had a conversation 2 days ago with an existing client. And, he was talking about his labor rate, and he's like, yeah, I feel like I'm pretty close to where everybody is in town. So, I feel like we're fair. And I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter where everybody else is in town, right? Because your expenses, your technician payroll, everything all rolled up could be completely different than the guy down the street. And you may have certain profit percentages that you want to hit, and they may be comfortable. Let's just say 65, 70% gross profit on your labor. Well, what does it take to get to that number? Right. So when I'm talking with people, I'm trying to look at it from let's take that surgical detailed approach. Let's not just say, well, I think our market bears $140 or $150 an hour, right? I mean, you may need to be effectively, right? You might need to be at 165 so that you can hit 65% gross profit. So, I mean, that's something that work backwards to try to figure out what exactly your labor rate needs to be. It's easy to look at, first of all, what is our break even point? And then we can start from there. As far as an impact goes, I mean, that's where just simple math comes in, right? If we can bump your labor rate $10 an hour and you're averaging 2 labor hours per ticket, okay, well, now we've just added $20 for every job that goes out of your shop. Well, how many jobs do you do? Well, I do 100, 100 100 a week. Okay, well, do the math, right? There's $2,000. That's, that's pretty decent money. Now all of a sudden, let's take it out, times 52 weeks. Now we've just generated over $100,000 more in revenue, and all you did was move your labor rate $10. And I'm sure you've seen it too, where when people tell me like, I'm so busy, Jaron, I'm booked out 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, I immediately go to a lot of times, you're probably too cheap, right? And in some cases, it's not the case, but in most
It's a
cases,
pretty fair assumption.
yeah, you're undervaluing your services. You're too cheap. Well, if I raise my rate, I'm probably going to scare off some customers. And my answer back to that is, yeah, you're probably going to scare off the customers, the clientele that you don't want anyway. But, it goes back to the perception thing. If your customers are perceiving you as the lowest guy in town or the lowest girl in town, well, then that's the type of clientele you're going to attract. So, when we're looking at working with prospective clients or when we have existing clients, specifically prospective clients, we're offering, a free business evaluation to look at their numbers. And from there, it's pretty easy to show them, right? We can see what their labor sales are, part sales, effective labor rate. And then it's simply just doing the math for them, with them, to show them. In a lot of cases, right, Jimmy? I mean, you're talking about a $10 increase maybe in your effective labor rate, and let's say a 7 to 10% increase in your parts gross profit. And when you start to look at what that does on a monthly basis, and then you even get even more detailed, and you look at, this is all it's really going to do per repair order. And the changes per repair order may be $30 or $40. But again, when you're doing 2,500, 3,000, whatever it is, tickets a year, and then you show them that math, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow. So a $40, a $40 change in my average repair order can generate $200,000 in revenue. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, but people are always worried about that perception that they're going to be overcharging people and that they're going to lose
But
customers.
how many people are really going to squawk? I mean, how many going to lose over a $40 change in your repair bill, right? I mean, when's the last time into the grocery store? Can you tell me how much a gallon of milk is? Right? Like, unless you went today to buy a gallon of milk, you have no idea how much a gallon of milk is because it changes every freaking day almost. And it's like that with everything on the shelf, So why do we have to have these set prices, right? And the one thing I hear a lot too is like the labor made or the parts matrix, right? And having an optimizer on the parts matrix where you change the price on the parts depending on where you're at through the month. I mean, ideally you get it pretty close, but sometimes you have a slow month. And so the job's coming in, it's going to bump that margin up a little bit to make sure you keep your parts GP where it should be. That's the right thing to do as a business owner. But then the other side of it is like, that's the wrong thing to do to the consumer. Like, but is it? Like, I mean, do you go to the grocery store and like pick something off the shelf? Like, hey, last week when I bought this, it was $2 cheaper. What's going on here, guys? You guys are ripping me off. Like, no one even thinks twice about it, right? And it blows my mind when you look at it that way. And then, like when you said, it's the $40 extra on the repair bills, like that pays for your employees' lives, their families' lives, and it's like there's so many benefits that goes to have like I don't know, to really like think that's gonna change anybody's perception. And I love that what you said. That's just gonna weed out like the ones that you don't want to deal with anyway. The ones that constantly haggling you, constantly need a cheap deal, constantly want the discount. Well, what if you're booked 3 weeks out? You could probably lose a few.
Well, it's yeah, and it's the definition of, I'm sure everybody's heard it, but it's, working smarter, not harder, right? So one of our coaches at Repair Shop Tomorrow, her and I, Kathleen Callahan, she's been a client of ours and a coach for our. She's been a coach, I think, since 2019 or 2020, before I started there. But her and I were looking at her shop management software last week. The system she uses, they added some enhancements to it, some reporting tools, and I was kind of showing her, and we were looking through that. And for the year, she was down 10% in car count, and total revenue was up 14%. Right? Average repair order was up, gross profit was up. And that's a challenge, I think, when especially when shop owners, maybe they're newer into the industry, what have you. And I feel like a lot of times, you hear, not just from marketing companies, but, coaching companies and just people in general too, like, car count, car count, car count. Well, yeah, car count's important. We obviously need the cars to work on. But a lot of cases, I think, we're working on too many cars. We're not doing our inspection. We're not following the 300% rule. And we're just burning out our technicians because all we're doing is just boom, 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 right? Churning and burning. So, the average repair order, I know it's kind of fluctuates based on where you're at, but the last statistics I saw was around $500 for the average repair order. So in our example, let's say you are at that average at 500. Are you telling me that you don't have enough value and trust with the clientele that you serve, that they're going to come in and complain or leave you because now they're paying 540 instead of 500, right? Like if they do, it goes back to what we just said. That's not those clients that you want to service.
Or
Um,
maybe look in the mirror. Maybe you're not providing the service that you should be too, right?
well,
I
that's
mean,
true
it's
too.
two parts of the puzzle there, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and I always like to I always like to reiterate when I do presentations or when I'm just speaking individually with clients. Price typically only becomes an issue, in my opinion, when there's an absence of value. So if you think about it right on a scale, if the value is here, price is typically like the last thing that people are concerned about. But when that scale flips and the value is here, now price all of a sudden becomes the most important thing. And I always use the Ruth Chris analogy. If you've ever been to a Ruth Chris steakhouse, you're going to pay depending on how much you drink. I like to have a few glasses of wine with my steak, right? So, depending on how much you drink, eat your bills $400 by the time you leave a Ruth Chris steakhouse.
Yeah.
But the service is great, the food's phenomenal. The whole experience from when you walk in, where you sit down, you get the bill and you just pay it and you leave. But if you are spending that much money and the value's not there, they overcook your steak, right? The wine's not very good. The first thing you do when you leave is you look at how much you paid, and in your mind, you're like, I'm never going back there, right?
They
Like
You don't spend that kind of money on a plate at Chili's or Applebee's, you know?
the
But you know what you're getting when you go there, right? Like my bill should probably be less than $100 and I know
right,
what I'm going to get. It's not going to be the greatest, but I know what I'm getting. And so yeah, you're looking for the cheapest thing on the menu, you're looking for the 2 for 20 or whatever, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The 6 piece of boneless wings with the burger and the cheese or the fry combo, right? For
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
ninety
They're
nine.
just they're just scouring for the budget deals at Applebee's, right? Like that's just but you know what you're getting because even if you get the $20 steak, it ain't gonna be that good, right? And it's like the whole rest of the experience doesn't go with it either. Like, no, I'm saving my money so I can go to the Roost Chris later, right? Or wherever it
Yeah,
is you want to go to. But yeah, then you want to be like taken care of, and yeah, your standards are higher as they should be.
yeah. But it's in my opinion, it's no different than I mean, we go back to what we first kind of started talking about of the labor rate. The experience that you provide as a business, as a shop owner, uh, that allows you to dictate a lot of what you can charge. If you want to charge $170 an hour, and I walk into your
Hey, sorry to cut in, but I got to let you know about our exclusive coaching partner of the Gearbox podcast, Repair Shops of Tomorrow. If you're ready to take your shop to the next level with proven strategies for profitability, ARO growth, and operational efficiency, visit repairshopsoftomorrow.com and start shifting your business into high gear.
shop and it's dirty, and the coffee pot that's been on for 4 days is still on, and there's no amenities, there's no shuttle car service, there's no Wi-Fi if you have people there that want to wait. Now all of a sudden you're like, okay, I feel like I'm at an Applebee's. Why am I paying this premier service when you know the opposite? We've got clients that you know treat their customers, their clients, with that white glove service. They go and they pick their vehicles up, they bring the vehicles to the shop, they work them, they finish their job, they deliver the vehicle back home. That shop that I'm talking about that does that, it's in Missouri, and they charge $211 an hour as their labor rate. And they have trained their clientele. That's the type of service they get. That's the type of clientele that they cater to. And they're not a shop that's booked out 3 or 4 weeks, right? They don't want it to be, but they're booked out at least a week, and they've trained their clientele that this is the type of service you get, but they also know that they're going to have to pay a little bit more for that service.
Yeah, one thing that like kind of blew my mind when I first started, because it wasn't the nicest, when I first started, right? But I started making changes, and I wanted that. Like, I wanted a nice place. I wanted a dealership. Like, you go to a dealership and you walk in, you're like, damn, nice here, right? Everything's clean, shiny floors, granite like, damn, that's what I want my shop to be, like that, right? So you start making changes like that, and then clients start coming in, or at the time customers start coming in. I don't think I'm going to be able to afford to come here anymore. And it's like, what? And then you get kind of scared, like, am I doing the wrong thing here? But then all of a sudden, the right people start coming in, and like, wow, I've been all over town, and every shop I walk into is a dump. This is so nice. Here's my keys. Let me know how much. And it was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
really makes that much of a difference to paint the office and like have a nice desk and like have someone in a uniform when they walk in that like answers the phone with a smile. And it's like, wow, I had no idea. Cause you don't even realize there's people out there that are looking for that service. You just assume, because the stigma of the auto industry, that's everyone's just looking for a shop. A shop's a shop. That's what it's supposed to be. Greasy. It's supposed to be dirty, right? I definitely, I'm a believer now in like having a nice facility, and that breeds in that culture. Not only that, but the people you get to hire. Like, if you want people with high standards, then you should have like a clean shop that they can come to with like AC, and they don't have to worry about rats in the desk and like all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And then you get better people working for you, and it just keeps going up from there. It's just one of those things that evolved that like I don't think anybody ever told me or like taught me. I just like slowly started making changes, and the light bulbs kept going off as every time I made a change for the better. It's like, oh, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Well, and going it's a lot of simple and little things too, right? Like
Isn't
like you
it?
said,
Yeah.
like that you pick up along the way, whether you're using a business coach or whether you're kind of cutting your teeth and learning on your own. But just how the clientele is greeted, how you're interacting with them when they come in, just simple things like that, where I'm sure you've been to places too, like you said, you walk in, and even if it's a nice facility, just because it's a nice facility doesn't mean the service you're going to get matches what the facility looks like. And how many times have you been in a place where you walk in and you feel like you're an inconvenience because you came in there to spend money. The whoever it is, it's a hostess at a restaurant or a front desk. I travel all the time, so hotel front desk people.
Hotel,
Some of
there it
them,
is. That's the
some of
one
them,
right there.
yeah, some of them are great. Some of them aren't. But you expect if you walk into a JW Marriott. I'm a Marriott guy, and I don't stay at JW Marriott's when I'm working. I'll just clarify that, right? I stay at the courtyards to keep the budget down. But when I go on
Sure,
vacation,
sure, yeah, okay.
if I want to stay at a JW Marriott, I got my status with Marriott. I mean, I've been traveling my whole career, for 15 years, whatever it is. You expect to be greeted. You expect to be like, hey, thank you for being a Titanium Elite member, Mr. Kleber. We appreciate your stay. Here's your bottle of water. All those things that come with it. So same thing in your business, like your shop. Not even obviously your loyal customers, they know you, they come in, but like think about that first customer client that walks in, and like does that experience that either your CSR or your service advisor who's ever at your counter are are they living up to the expectations of what that building looks like? Because you can have granite countertops and spotless waiting area with Wi-Fi and coffee, but if the person standing behind the desk is grumpy, doesn't greet you, and treats you poorly, then guess what? None of that stuff really matters, right?
That's probably more important. you could probably have a kind of rundown facility, but if you got someone bubbly and smiley behind the desk, I think a lot of that stuff kind of disappears, right? And it's like, oh, it's kind of messy, it's kind of dirty, but man, they always treat me really good. So you can get away with a lot if you have someone really nice in the front desk, I think.
Yeah, I do some service advisor training and classes, at some of the industry events, and I did a class at Vision, and I spent probably the first, not the first, but probably, you know, 20-25 minutes talking about that initial interaction and experience when someone walks in, to your facility. Because to me, that's really critically important. you know, we're not in a wants based industry, right? We're in a needs based industry. Majority of people that are going to walk through your shop, they're not happy that they're there, and they think the worst case scenario. And I'm even guilty of it. And I've been in the automotive industry my whole life. My
Yeah.
parents used to own Napa stores. I started working in a Napa store when I was 12 years old. Graduated college. I worked for Napa Corporation for 13 years. And now I've been with Repair Shop Tomorrow for 2 years. And, you know, the, the industry, I mean, even I sometimes, like, if something happens to my car or my wife's car, like, my mind goes to, like, worst case scenario. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to be $2,000. I know it. And I bring it to my Napa Auto Care Center here in town, and he's like, oh, no, 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 don't worry, man. It was just, no, it was just something simple, right? It's a couple $100. And I'm like, oh, phew.
Yeah.
But I mean, and we live in this industry, right? So think about the customer base that comes into your shop. They think we're untrustworthy. They think, worst case scenario. And now, we're talking about groceries and things like that. I read a statistic now where almost 40% of Americans couldn't afford $1,000 unplanned expense and still pay all their bills and meet their financial obligations for the month. Right? I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're in California like you, or if you're in Georgia like myself, right? It's a reality. So we got to make sure that initial experience, I guess, where I'm going rambling with this is something that makes them feel comfortable,
Yeah.
because it is an
Transform.
uncomfortable situation
Oh yeah.
for
Yeah.
most people.
Transforming that anxiety, that's the biggest thing I think is key and is missed a lot is the amount of anxiety. And I think, like, as people, we like feed off each other's energy a little bit. And I like the point you brought up about not feeling welcome. It's like you instantly feel that when someone walks through your door at your shop, right? Like when I was on the counter, it's like they come in, they don't want to be there, right? Or they make the phone call and they don't want to make this phone call. And it's like this, you just know that they're like this, there's this attitude or like this, and it's like, hey, look, for me, it's like, hey, look, I'm here to help you. So what is it you need? And then it's like, well, I don't really want to be talking to you because my car just broke. And for some reason, they think us as the independent auto repair facility, like, manufactured, built, and like designed and engineered this car, right? They're like, I just need to talk to the people that, built this freaking car. It's like, that's not us. Like, you know what I mean? We are an independent repair facility that you need. And then you just have that, you start breeding that arrogance, right? And I think a lot of guys really just go down that hole for a long, long time, and they just feel like, I'm needed, you need me, I don't need you, and it's just all bad, right? And you lose the empathy, right? And it's easy to do, I think. Like, you get beat up so much, you try to do the right thing, and it always goes sideways, and so, and you try not to be the shop that sells everything, right? Or like, or inspects everything, and you're only trying to fix what's broken, but every time you do that, it bites you in the ass, right? You do transmission repair, comes in, you do a solenoid, and it doesn't fix the problem, and now they don't want to pay for that repair, and now you got to sell them a transmission anyway, and everybody's upset, even though the technician, the shop owner, was trying to do the right thing, trying to save them some money, whether it's a solenoid or transmission service. Like, oh man, it's going to be $6,000 to sell your trans, and there's a possibility we can service this thing and it might fix it, and now there's this, oh, he told me for $400 my transmission's fixed, and then it doesn't fix it, and now he's the crook, right? And it's like, I'm not the crook. I was trying to help you. And it's like, don't even go down that hole. Like, don't even go down that path. It's like, just cut to the chase. What's it going to cost to fix it? Right. It's going to be 6 grand. We need to replace your transmission. It's got 200,000 miles on it. You haven't serviced it in over, 10 years. It's slipping. Let's not even waste any money and service it. Let's just replace it. Right. Oh, I don't have that money. So then they go down the street and the next shop services it and fixes it. Now you're the bad guy again. It's like, I guess I just don't win. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so hard to not take that and like become jaded. You know what I mean?
Well, so yeah, so the point about the negativity, right? The negative energy. I got a really good buddy here. He's not in the automotive industry. He's one of those fancy, performance coaches. He coaches CEOs on the Inc. 5000 list. And we had him at one of our conferences, and he was talking about how to manage your energy levels, right? And you've got physical energy, you got emotional energy, spiritual, mental, and really, from the negative side of things, right? That's an emotional energy, right? And you ever been around somebody who's super negative all the time? Like, all of a sudden they like that negativity starts to like absorb into you, and then all of a sudden you start becoming negative, and then you just like it just starts stacking on top of each other. And so, to your point, right, like if somebody comes in, they're frustrated, right? You got to turn that situation around, because if you're trying to like match what their energy level is, now all of a sudden like that negativity, jaded, all of a sudden that starts to come back and breed into you and your business. And so it's like, how can, like, I always do this exercise with people, like, think about a good day that you had, right? And describe it using adjectives. So, I was motivated, I was well rested, right? I was positive. All right, great. Now think about a bad day. I was frustrated, I was tired, you know, unmotivated. Okay, well, what made you have that good day? What did you do? How did you act? How did you, did you get up in the morning? Did you work out? Did you read a book? Like, whatever it was, and take that and repeat that process. So every day when you come into the shop, you're ready. You have that positive attitude. And when someone comes in, guess what? You're not going to fall into that trap of being negative, or, kind of meet their energy levels. So,
No, it's a
I
good
know
it,
that's probably a little off weird topic for the
no,
automotive industry, but
I think it's totally right on like the bullseye of like what needs to be talked about more, because it's so much bigger than that, and especially talking about like leadership, and it's one thing I really really struggle with. And you don't realize it until you get out of your funk, and then all of a sudden like everybody's like out of a funk, and it's like, was that because of me? Like, was I being, because you come in and you have a bad week or a bad couple days, like you're just burned out. Like for me anyway, I just get to the point I'm burned out, and I'm like, I just don't want to deal with it, right? I got things, I got my absolute necessity tasks that I need to take care of. So I need to get in the office and I need to just take care of these things, and I need to not be bothered because I can't take one more thing, right? I'm just like there, like that's it for me. And that goes on for a couple days, and then you pop yourself out of your funk, right? And you're like, okay, I'm feeling better now. I'm like, I, my cup's not running over. It's back at the max, right? So I can take on a little bit more. But then you start realizing, man, all our numbers are down, productivity's down. There's been misdiagnostics going on. Like, oh my god, what is going on around here, right? And then you get back into the groove of things, and then a week later, it's like, oh, everything's running smooth again. And it's like, was that because like me? Like, cause, and I didn't even say nothing to nobody. Like, it was just my own, like you said, that energy just feeds into the whole shop. And it's just like having a technician or an advisor or whoever just dragging the whole shop down. You got that one negative person. And how many times have you heard someone say that, man, I got to get this toxic guy out of my shop. I got to do it. I got to do it. I got to do it. And then finally they do it. And it's like, why did I wait so long? Everything's so much better. And they can't like describe what it was. Like, why? Like, he never said anything. Like, he wasn't yelling. He did great work. There wasn't a whole lot of comebacks, but like he just drug everybody else down. And there was like this weird energy, right? Like there's just this weird thing in the shop that we can't describe, but as soon as he was gone, everything was better. Or she, whoever it is.
Right, right. Well, and I think a lot of times, and I'm in working with a business coach and having somebody that is outside of those four walls to to kind of take that view for you. Speaking of like a toxic employee, right? Because that toxic employee may be the guy that is producing, like you said, the most billed hours out of the shop. And you as a business owner, you're looking at sometimes we get too narrow minded and we're stuck in our own four walls, and we're just we're looking at the numbers, but we're not really seeing what's going on. And I think having a business coach, having that accountability partner, someone that's viewing the business from outside, can help point out those flaws, maybe that you, like you said, when your cup's all the way to the max and it's overflowing, you're just doing everything you can to get by. And maybe that next coaching call that you have with your coach, you're letting all that out, and they're the ones that are able to say, hey, look, here's what the problem is, right? For whatever reason, this is what we have to address. Let's remove this employee, or let's coach this employee. Let's figure out what's going on with them. And a lot of times, like you said, employee moves out, morale goes up. We don't, can't explain really what's going on, why it happened.
All right, gearboxers, you know I keep things running smooth, engines and beards alike. That's why I trust the Bearded Brotherhood for top quality, all natural beard care. From their best selling Woodsman to my favorite, Thieves, they keep me looking sharp and smelling fresh. Check this out. Get 15% off every order with the code GEARBOX15 at thebeardedbrotherhood.co/gearbox15. Your beard will thank you.